I'm Scott.
I'm TJ.
And this is a review. On today's episode, we will be reviewing 3,000 Years of Longing. 3,000 Years of Longing is a George Miller movie. It's Idris Elba, Tilda Swinton. It's about Jinn, and it's like this is a wild movie. TJ, what'd you think?
We've got stories within stories within stories.
Yeah, this is like Jinnception.
It is.
Yeah,
like
Jinnception. Right away, I want to just get into this is a very mixed movie for me, and we're going to talk a lot about it, but I think right off the bat, I would probably rate this thing like 3 bathrobes out of 5.
That's fair. I would, I'd give it 3.5 genie bottles out of 5.
Interesting.
So if you just want the rating, there it is. 3.5 genie bottles, 3 robes. Spoilers from here on out.
Spoilers, score! This movie, 3,000 Years of Longing, which is the longest title of the year, is a very mixed bag. I liked a lot of this movie, and then a lot of it I didn't like because it takes a hard right turn at the end. So the first half of this movie is a lot about, Tilda Swinton is what is her title?
A Naraologist. Scott,
you
need to start paying attention when we watch these movies.
A Naraologist?
A Naraologist.
Yeah.
She studies narratives.
Yes. Which is
It's technically what we are.
Kind of, yeah. I was thinking that when the movie started, I was like, oh, finally, a movie about me and TJ.
I know, it's been too long.
Yes.
Don't say that!
She stumbles upon a bottle, looks like a device for smoking marijuana out of, and she buys it because she wants to go get high in her hotel room. That's not really why she buys it.
As most neurologists do.
Yeah, and she is cleaning it, and it breaks, and Idris Elba comes out because he's a genie. Or a djinn. He's a djinn!
He's a djinn!
And the movie is basically him telling her the story of his life.
Right.
Which is great.
She doesn't trust him right off the bat, so she asks questions, finds out answers.
Who wouldn't trust a 500-foot man that came out of a bottle in a cloud of smoke?
So, what will you wish for? What is your heart's desire?
There is a lot of fantastical elements to this movie beyond gin in a bottle that are sprinkled in very sparsely to the point where you'll forget about the more fantastical elements when you're lost in the story. Then all of a sudden a man's head will fall off and turn into a million scarabs and crawl down a tunnel, and it's like, what?
I forgot about that completely.
Yeah. I mean, it's very shocking.
Yeah, it's out of nowhere, it feels like.
And it's great. It's a really visually very satisfying. And I mean, there's a lot of very creative little bits.
Little bits.
They're just little bits.
Little bits.
And that's all they are, is just little bits.
Little bits.
Sprinkled throughout, and it leaves you wanting a lot more, which I guess is a good quality in a way, but...
Well, here's the thing. You want more, and then if it gives you more, that's a good quality.
Sure.
If you just want more, then that's not being satisfied,
right.
You know?
That's true. And look, the narratives, there's like 3, I think, main stories that he tells, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And this movie is based on a series of short stories called Gin and Longing. The title right here. A bunch of short stories that are based on whatever. I don't know. I haven't read them.
All stories about wishing are cautionary tales.
Well, I'm beginning to think I'm in the presence of a trickster.
So one could argue that there is an element to this movie that, like, all of this is just some narrative that she's crafting, maybe.
Essentially, she's a story person, and her brain's a little bored, and it's looking for a story. And so there's an element of this where she could be imagining these things.
They heavily imply multiple times that Idris Elba could be in her head.
Yeah.
And in fact, even the movie starts with her saying, like, this isn't real, this is a fantasy. But then
she says, you wouldn't believe me if I told you the
something,
real story, so I have to tell it to you as a fairy tale.
Right. So it sort of sets up that, like, maybe this is a metaphor or an allegory.
We have an unreliable narrator. You get that from the first
A little
line.
bit.
I mean, to a degree, come on. You're telling us that you're going to tell it to us as a fairy tale. You're now changing details.
Right. But then the movie takes a hard right turn at the end. And this is like the last, like, 20 minutes. It felt
maybe 30. It felt long.
It felt long, but it was like it was at the very end of the movie. After hearing all of these stories and his whole about Jin wanting to go home and he just wants to be free and all this very interesting and sad and funny and weird stories. There's a very mixed bag of emotions that you'll feel watching these. It takes a weird turn where she's like, "I wish that you'll love me."
Let's take it back a little earlier in the film. During one of these flashbacks, there's this great scene with the musician, right?
Yeah, King Solomon.
Great scene with the musician.
King Solomon.
Yep. And he's wooing his lady, and he does it through song, and there's a really good sequence with that. But they have this moment where they show her face, and then she's just like, and that symbolizes her, like,
she's thirsty.
I'm falling, I'm thirsty. And they do the same thing with Tilda Swinton.
With Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, in the hotel. And so when that happened, I was like, oh, so he's telling her all these stories about, like, love gone wrong and how it traps him in the bottle and he just wants to be free. And she's just falling for him.
Because she's in love with stories.
Exactly.
And he's just a walking story.
He's an amazing storyteller from the beginning of time and has all these great narratives,
Well, because he's lived through all of the stories that we have basically become mythology or have become tall tales in our life. He's lived through all these stories.
Any final thoughts?
You know, I mean, overall, I think this movie, like I've been saying, it's a very mixed bag. I think there's a lot of elements I really like the first half of the movie, when it is just telling these stories of Jin being in these different environments and how he got from A to B to C. That was the interesting stuff. Once it goes into Jin and Tilda Swinton's love story in New York, I'm checking out. And not just because I'm not really into that kind of stuff. I can be, but it just wasn't where I wanted it to go. Luckily, the movie's pretty short, and it does wrap up quickly, so it doesn't take anything away. But yeah, that's kind of why I'm at just kind of a 3 with this thing. It's like interesting, it's well acted, it's well shot. There's a lot of good things to say about it, but some odd choices overall. What about you? Final thoughts?
You know, you made me think about this just now. I'm more invested in the romance in The Shape of Water, which I think I like this movie more than I like Shape of Water, but I think I'm more invested in that romance than in the romance of these characters because of how it was treated within the project. And for that reason and a few more, I'd give it about 3.5. I did enjoy it. I knew nothing about the movie going in, just sat down. It was beautifully shot, beautifully edited. The acting's phenomenal. I mean, you can tell he's a master. He's a great director,
it's a very
filmmaker.
Look, this is the director of Babe, Pig in the City.
Yeah, of Happy Feet.
I mean, this guy doesn't fuck around.
Save yourself!
I have a wish.
So there you have it. That's 3,000 Years of Longing, the new George Miller film. Go check it out. And hey, while you're at it, like and subscribe. Ring that bell. What else do they got to do?
Click this video.
Share it with your friends. You could, you could send a little link and put it in an email. Send it to Grandma. Grandma wants to watch this review.
Is the audio hard to understand? Let us know.
Don't let us know that.
No, I can't take criticism.
No,
like
don't no criticism at all.
wouldn't
Only
want that.
flowery compliments if you're gonna write something, or
Leave a positive comment for Scott in the comments below.
yeah, and
Compliment him.
I'll comment back. We'll
Yeah.
comment back.
Scott will.
I'll comment back.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see. If it's interesting, we'll comment back. So like and subscribe. But here's what I would want to run out to watch is Idris Elba as a genie fighting Will Smith as a genie in Aladdin 2.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
I'm going to, okay?